Okay, guys. Yes, I am back. I'm back today. I'm going to try to make this really quick because my kids are not home yet, and I know I've been trying to get back with doing these kinds of videos again. And so, yeah, I'm sorry. Life happens. Things are pretty hectic. Running the company, and now we're out of pandemic time. So let's just get right into this video. You don't want to know all about what I'm up to, or do you? Do you? Anyways, my hair is looking a hot mess. I hope you still love me because I still love you. And, this is an informal discussion about love, fluff, and entanglement. I know a lot of my viewers, they like my relationship series. Let me just put the lights on here so you can see my face. You want to see my face, brother? Show your face, bro. Okay. Sorry, it's a Chappelle Show moment there. Anyways, I am getting ready to do my hair. I promise you I do not look like this all the time, but it seems like I do, like I don't seem to do my hair these days. Anyways, it's a minute and a half and I have not started. So today we're talking about a little bit of fluff, entanglement here in the Black Forest where I live in the valley. It's beautiful, it's fabulous. And I just had to come on here real quick and talk about some follow-up conversation that we had started a long time ago. Why are you not married? Okay, so I'm just going to speak on my situation. I know if you guys have not checked out my video on being left at the altar, every woman's worst nightmare, I do, but I don't. And I probably didn't call it that, but I probably should have. Maybe that's what I'll call the book. But in any case, yeah, what happens when you are in your late 20s. Late 20s. Okay, I'm about 32. Oh, I'm not 32. I'm actually closer to 40 now. I know. Don't I look fabulous? So now it's okay that my hair looks kind of rough because I don't look 40, right? But I am. And when I was, in the dating scene, trying to get my life together and finally decided that I actually was lying to myself when I said that I don't want to get married and I'm good just being alone for the rest of my life. I had to really look at why it is I was saying that, like I feel like I said that I didn't want to get married, but there were a lot of lonely nights. And the longer you're dating in a casual relationship or not really having somebody that's committed that if the relationship is going to go anywhere or not, which I think I also did a video about, probably on Anchor, about gaslighting and feeling like the victim, is that, you can be the other woman, you could be Miss Mary Jane and have your career together, friends, projects, and just throw yourself into work. But at the end of the day, for the most of us females, we really want to have that part of our lives fulfilled. And having that part of your life fulfilled means that you have a partner that you can share your life with. You can have a man in your life that's there for you, and that you can be there for, and you can share in your experiences with. And so I think I started to feel like that as my on again, off again relationship was fizzling down to a nice simmer. It was turning into that nice beef soup, all soft, mushy, nothing left of substance and solidity. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna find myself a husband, and I'm going to get my life together. Not in that order though, because if you look at the video where I invite my mother, who has been married 3 times, twice. Anyway, she's been married a couple of times and she's been single for decades. And she shares with us what are some of the real issues that you have to deal with before you get into a serious committed relationship. One of the things that I did was I went on some I went on some retreats. Um, like I think I did a silent retreat for about a week, and that was pretty intense because I, for the first time, had to really listen to what was on my heart, and listen to my heart being broken and mourn the loss of the relationship that I had invested so much time in, and really see it as a good thing, as a stepping stone to really recognize what are some of the things that I don't want to bring into my next relationship. And so that was very reflective. The second thing I had to do was to find a therapist. And I know most of us in the Black communities or in non-white communities have a very different opinion about therapy and what it can and cannot do for you. And I just want to encourage those people listening, whether you're for or against, to really be open to the possibility that it can be something that can complement your spirituality if you are a spiritual person. But for me, it definitely helped to open my eyes to some of the hardwired issues and neuroses that I have incurred over my lifetime. Some of these issues, like I talk about fatherlessness and I talk about other things on my channel. And, I had a very, very interesting and dramatic life, and kind of dramatic childhood as well. And I don't talk too much about the details of that on this channel. Those I've saved for Patreon. But um, when I decided to get into therapy, it was because I did not want to bring any of these issues into my marriage. And I know that that can make a lot of sense. And for some people, it's like, oh, well, Jesus will take care of it. No, boo. Jesus gives you the access to yourself and to your spiritual being so that you can take care of yourself. Because who are you to Jesus? Like, there are literally billions of people on the face of this earth. Why he gonna come and take care of you personally? You know? Anyways, as a Christian and as a Catholic and as a spiritual person, I really hate that. I really dislike when people talk like that, like Jesus will take care of it. No, no. If you were sitting here trying to get something to eat, you wouldn't sit here and say, oh, Jesus will take care of it. Jesus will magically bring me a plate of food from the kitchen right to my lap. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think that we should treat our emotional our emotional well-being on I don't believe we should leave it to chance. And that's why I took the time to speak with a therapist and a counselor. And if you're Catholic like me, a lot of priests, especially as of recent decades, have a psychology degree. They go and they study theology, and they also have a lot of background in listening to people. That's what confession's for. And of course, so my first therapist was a priest. And we spoke, I think, a couple of times in the year. It wasn't anything like major, but when I met my husband, like before we got married, I decided to get into therapy full time because of some issues that I had when I was growing up as a teenager and an adolescent. So I decided to do full-time therapy. Like after I had my second daughter, I decided to get into therapy full-time. So I meet someone every other week, and we talk for 45 minutes about things that just come up in our day-to-day. And the reason I do that is because I'm trying to live a high-value life, and I realized that a lot of the things that I was taught about being independent, being a single mom, having a career, being educated, being a female, like this whole female empowerment trip and feminism has got me twisted, that I felt entitled, and I didn't even know that that's what I was bringing to my marriage, and that's toxic. So that was the third thing that I had to realize, was that therapy would then have to be a consistent way of me re-acknowledging and reinforcing that I'm not a victim and I'm not entitled to be treated a certain way because I was basically damaged, and not to tell yourself, or I shouldn't be telling myself like, I am this way because of my past, or I am this way because I experienced this or that or the other. I feel like when you do that, you feel like the world owes you something, and you feel like the world owes you an explanation, or better treatment just because somebody else did something to you. And I think that having that attitude really put me at odds with my husband. And just to be real with you ladies, that created a sense and a need to just always want to be right, and if any of you have ever met me, you know that you can't tell me nothing. Like, yes, that's my go-to. That's the way that I am. I have to be right. And when I was finally faced in my marriage with, okay, I did the work, I did the foundation, I got the man, now I got to keep the man, that meant that I had to move my growth to a next level, a level that taught or would teach me how to model for my children how they are to be a good wife and a good partner, and to attract into their lives the type of person or the type of man that is of great value or greater value than our parents were. And so we were kind of like fondling in the dark, the both of us, because my husband, he can speak for himself as to some of the things that he went through, but a lot of those things he went through because of me. Because I just, yeah. And I think really admitting that in my space right now is is really, really liberating, because I'm constantly humbled and constantly checking myself because I have therapy and because I'm able to see, okay, I should not be doing this anymore because I want my family to be happy and I want to grow. And the only way to do that is to leave the old person who doesn't have a place and space in this family anymore. And it's hard to do that because what I wanted to do was I wanted to be the one to have a picture of my family based on an idea that I had in my head that I got from wherever it is I got it from. And so that's what therapy really does. What it did for me was that it gave me the space to really debunk some of the ideologies and the philosophies that I had developed, where they came from and how they fit or don't fit in my life, and just really choosing to be cooperative in my marriage with my husband, and not making that about me. I think that it's really hard for me to not make a situation about me, because it's like the opposite way of having a big ego is to self crucify into having still a big ego, but the ego that is like the victim ego, which I think as a Black woman, I gotta say we have perfected. And this is something that I talk to a lot with my friends, is that we tend to want to say, "Whoo, child, I could do like a whole series on this topic alone." We tend to want to say that nobody loves us, that we're unbeautiful, we're unbeautiful, we're not beautiful, nobody loves us, we're the victims. We are not a part of standard beauty and culture. We're not a part, we finish last. We're the least likely to be married. All of those facts may or may not be true, but I'm living proof here to show you that it is possible to be married and to be happy. And for me, that meant that I had to redefine or learn new or be open to other possibilities that I may not have been willing to even consider before. And that takes growth and that takes time, but that takes a willingness to really decide and understand that this is something that I want more than I want to be right. It's something that I want more than to be who I was yesterday and all the successes that I have had. I want it more than that, no matter what. Right. And so that's why I like to tell my clients, like, marriage is not for everyone. It's not for everyone, because I have to be okay with cooking and cleaning and listening to kids and cleaning up dirty diapers and making 5 or 6 meals a week or cooking every day, which is something I used to do, but I don't do that anymore. Well, I do sometimes. I do it when I feel like I need to. And that came actually from understanding that this is what marriage is for me. And if my husband's cool with it and my kids are cool with it, then I have the permission to be the wife and mother that I am in this space and not be the wife and mother that I think I should be. Like I have learned from being in this space that being a part of a family is a part of being is a part of it's a service. And if you're not in the business of serving, then maybe marriage is not for you. um, and then lastly, I just want to end. I wish I had some water. Wait, is the passion, ladies. The unadulterated need to always be happy, excited, and enthused about something that is going to take place new or different or special or completely out of the ordinary. And I think that I know this seems very abstract, like what is she talking about? I'm talking about these bored housewives, soap opera watching, real sex life, 50 Shades of Grey loving, pathetic. Oh, they gonna come for me now. Oh, shoot. Oh, God. I done did it now. Annoying women. Like, damn. Like, what is wrong here? Like, that's not real. Like, that's no. Listen, you know what? I think I'm really happy that I grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather, because when my mom got divorced, we all my brothers went and stayed with their father, and I went and stayed with my grandmother while my mom um took a breather, right? And so in this time, I watched my grandfather and my grandmother have breakfast and dinner together every day. All right. A lot of the times, actually, he would just sit there, like he wasn't even listening to her. And my grandmother would be talking and eating and just trying to like get every single word in. The whole time, my grandfather's just staring into space, eating his food. And I would sit there in total, utter disgust because I felt like he wasn't really listening to her. And then in the evenings, he would come home after a long day's work, and my grandmother would be tittering away in the kitchen 1 hour before. And, when I got older, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to help you, Grandma, and I started cooking in there with her and started trying to make him, something that I thought would make him even more engaged in being at the dinner table. But my grandmother insisted on cooking for him. And one day, I don't know, maybe she went somewhere and I made supper for him. And I was like, he ain't even gonna miss her. Like, I put his food on the table and I went about my day. And when he came home, I said, oh, your food is on the table. And he looked at the plate and looked around and he said, where's your grandma? Like, and I was confused. Like, you ain't stunting at her. You don't care. She's here or there. I didn't say that, of course, but I was just like, she's gone. Gone where? Well, she went out, she's not back yet. And he sat there the whole time she was gone. She may have been gone an hour, and I knew he was hungry. I know he was hungry. And he just waited until she came back to eat with her. I'll just sit and let that sink in for a minute. We got time. You can skip ahead if you want to. But for those of you, I just want you to let that sink in, because I was really confused. Like, I was just like, what is this? Like, and my grandmother, as I got older and I started to notice, like, he would take her with him, even though, like, to have dinner sometime, even though it would take her like an hour to get ready or more. He would wait. And she was just like, that was the way that they showed their love. There wasn't this, like, they had that passion, way back when they had first met. But after that had fizzled out, they became companions. And now that I'm married, like, I understand that. Like, there is such a thing as a honeymoon phase where things are really heated and you just miss the person, you just can't wait for that person to be back or whatever. And then you go through a normalcy phase where it's just like you guys get used to each other, and they walk past you naked, you don't even notice, and it's just what it is. And then there is this deeper connection and intimacy phase. And I think that between the normalcy and the deeper connection, there is a loss and a great expectation. Where, especially as women, because we're feelers, like a lot of women talk about like not feeling that connection with their husband because he's so quiet or he doesn't tell me how he feels and all of that stuff. And for me, I've learned to take what I can get when I can get it and just be my best friend. I know this may come across like really bad or whatever. People may judge me for saying it like this, but I've learned to just be able to be my own best friend, um, and just be supportive. And I think that's where therapy really helps, because if you are coming into a marriage expecting that you are entitled to something from your husband, and when he doesn't give it to you because he's a human being and he goes through his own whatever, his own normalcy, and if you can't see that as also a good thing, that there's comfort and consistency and stability, it always has to be some whirlwind of whatever, some Kristen Drake helicopter drama, then you really miss out the simplicity and the beauty of quiet, calm, serene, Zen-like love, which is I give you the space to grow with me and to be at one and at peace with each other. It will constantly be a level of expectation because you will become bored, or what I would like to redefine as actually restless, because you're not at peace with yourself. And that's the problem with that was my problem. It was that, like, I'm not at peace because I'm in a new situation, and new isn't like a year, 2 years, 3 years. It can extend beyond that. And I think what happened was when we started to get into normalcy, when I finally accepted that it's okay for us to not always have conversations in the middle of the night. It's okay for us to not be gazing into each other's eyes, because you're living life now. This is your life partner. This is someone that you do day-to-day stuff with, that you have goals to accomplish with. And they're expecting that you're going to have their back even when they get distracted with something. They have to trust that you're going to be there to do your part, while so that they can focus on doing their part. And if I am constantly acting like one of his children because I need extra special attention that I am expecting him to give me and not me to give myself, just saying, then you will always find yourself in these Christian Grey, sex life, other man, boy next door kinds of drama where you're seeking fulfillment outside of you. And I'll just let that sink in. And when you're seeking fulfillment outside of you, it's a kind of dangerous game that I like to equate it to being like a drug addict. It's not sustainable, Somewhere, somehow, you're going to be crashing and burning. And it's really irresponsible. And a greater sign that when I did this, this kind of lifestyle, that there is a lack of maturity and a lack of self-discipline, and people who are not disciplined cannot be trusted with greater responsibilities or greater greater things in their life, greater successes, because that requires a certain level of patience, a certain level of stick-to-itiveness, and a certain degree of trustworthiness. And men can sense that. Well, I know at least my husband can sense it when I'm being not true of heart in who I am and who he is expecting me to be. And you cultivate that before you become a wife, and you continue to cultivate that through a way of graciousness and self-confidence, which is something that I'm still working on. Don't get it twisted and let them think that I'm 100% there yet. Um, but it's definitely something that translates into a deeper sense of who you are, so that you could be who is needed to really be the backbone of your family. Because you have to understand, if you have children, they're depending on you too, you know, and they can't depend on some wishy-washy midlife crisis, um, existential crisis person who's constantly making everything about them, and their needs that have not been fulfilled because they didn't take the time out to do it before they entered into this contract with another person who is now depending on them to be a mother and a wife, so that they can be the best provider and the high value person that they are supposed to. I hope this video has been very, very, very useful to you. And I don't know why I'm talking like this now, but let me know in the comments below if you have anything to add, or if you feel a way about anything that I said with this entanglement fluff type conversation. I want to thank all of my listeners and viewers for sharing with me how they feel about other videos that I've made in the past. And I also want to open up the floor for new subscribers and comments about this video. Like, where do you stand with this? What do you think about any of the things that I said when it comes to, therapy, or, being at one, or being supportive, being cooperative? Um, how do you feel about this topic, guys? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.